Welcome my friends for another edition of the video productions by the Artelino Company. What's the Artelino Company? Well, it's a little family company, little and small family company from Bavaria in Germany, Central European time. And we've sold art prints, mostly Japanese prints, in weekly online auctions since 2001. And we produce these videos for your entertainment, and not only entertainment. No, we want to encourage you to bid in our auctions, of course. Money rules the world. And today, in this video, I want to produce this lovely print by one of the greatest contemporary printmakers in, let's say, Japanese style and Japanese technique, by Paul Binnie, born 1967. And it's from a series that Paul started, well, quite a few years ago. The Japanese title of the series, Paul always titles everything both in English and in Japanese. He's fluent in Japanese. The Japanese title, Hyakuren no Hana. Excuse my Bavarian style Japanese. Also excuse my Bavarian style English, by the way. And in English, Bavarian style English, Flowers of 100 Years. And in this series, Paul illustrates typical women during each of the 10 decades of the 20th century. And this print, well, when you look at it, you guess it, represents the 1920s. And it shows a modern Japanese girl. She has a certain Western touch. And look, I mean, she smokes and she has two liqueur glasses in front of her, wavy hair. And in case you're familiar, very familiar with Japanese prints, now you may get a reminder in your head, because Paul made this design also a little bit in honor or in reminiscent to another famous Japanese printmaker from the first half of the 20th century, Kiyoshi Kobayakawa. And this is really famous. You find it, for instance, in the book Female Image, published published in the Netherlands. I don't remember now the name of the company way. I show you this print with the title Tipsy, now by Kiyoshi Kobayakawa. I found it on the website of Castle Fine Arts. We can enlarge that. Okay, here we have it. So it's, can you see it? Yeah, okay. You see, it's has some things in common. It's not the design, but some details. Also, she smokes to underline the Western orientation, and she drinks alcohol from a liquor glass. But back now to our Paul Binnie print. Okay, here we have it. And this girl is a typical moga. This is how Japanese in the 1920s called this type of young women. Moga is a colloquial abbreviation for the Japanese word modan garu, for modern girl, and it's just abbreviation. They call them moga. And I want to tell you now a little bit more about this women movement, which was actually worldwide. Again, moga, Japanese girls in the 1920s who followed Western fashions and lifestyles. You must imagine, after World War I, during World War I, terrible, the men were at the front, millions died, and women had to replace them in the factories. and take care of their children in the kitchen and home. And after 1980, the end of World War I, women were more self-conscious. They were striving for a new role, wanted to be more independent. Many had their own job, their own income, and also sexual liberation was an issue, of course, at that time. And it was a worldwide movement. In the US, this type of young, Western-styled, modern women was called flappers. Flappers, in Germany they called them neue Frauen, which means something like, well, new women, translated literally. And in France they called them garçons. And it was, of course, an urban movement. In the countryside, things remained the same, and especially in the Japanese countryside, nothing had changed since the end of the 19th century. However, this MOGA movement was rather short-lived when, in the early 1930s, fascist and national governments came into power in more and more countries, like the Nazis in 1933 in Germany, and in Japan in 1931, the nationalists. Then this movement was completely over. Well, so much about the background. I like to talk about what's behind Japanese prints, because it's so interesting. Not only the old ones, also the modern ones, contemporary arts, they often tell a story, and it's more impressive when you know what's behind it. A few technical things. Well, the size of this print, it's Paul Binnie usually makes the size in so-called Oban size, or a little bit larger, which is called Dai Oban, and I think this is Dai Oban. It's in centimeters, 33.5 by 47 centimeters. And for my friends and many, many clients in the US, in inches, of course, 13.5 inches by 18.5 inches. Technique, traditional woodblock print. Limited edition of 100. Most of Paul's prints have this edition size. And hand-signed, my God, yeah, I'm short-sighted maybe and a little bit hind-oriented, but this print is hand-signed, okay? And it was published self-published by Paul, self-created, self-carved, self-printed, first published in 2013. All right, and we have it in the current auction, which is our number 1719. Well, we have consecutive auctions. We've numbered them consecutive in a consecutive way since 2001, starting with the number 1. And currently, in the current auction, we have 3 more prints by Paul Binnie, so overall 4. So it's nearly a Paul Binnie festival, my friends. Take the chance. And I want to mention Paul Binnie is one of those artists who consign directly to us. And I've known Paul now for more than 20 years. My God, yeah. Okay, and please support in our online auctions, of course, all the prints that we offer, but especially those by contemporary artists who cooperate directly with us. There's no mediator in between, no dealer. These artists send their prints to us, and of course, when we sell them, we get more, and we may have a lifelong cooperation, like for instance for Ryusei Okamoto or for Osamu Sugiyama. But when we cannot sell them, and we only select for you the best contemporary artists in the field of Japanese prints, but now more and more also contemporary artists from the US or from the United Kingdom, not necessarily working in this Japanese style. Got the message? Wonderful. Okay, well then I will see you in our Auctionsville 1719, which will end tomorrow, February 13th. And we are in the year 2022. And for now, thanks for watching and take care of yourself and goodbye.